Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Just getting grounded today. Ate a little breakfast, nice Sicilian farmer's dish, keeps you nice and warm. Unfortunately, I'm still recuperating, but wishing you all the best in this cold weather out there. And all those who are forced out to work in the open, make sure you eat some pasta pizzette or pasta fagioli or maybe pasta lenticchie, pasta verdura, sono tutte cose, si sono buone. There are two types of people in this world. There are the people who are leaders and there are people who are followers. And the subgroups are people who choose to be swayed and persuaded, and there are people who stick to their guns and stick up for the things that they believe in. Some of the things I believe in is the U.S. Constitution. 1, 2, I believe in the Italian American culture. And 3, I believe in protecting all veterans, regardless of what state of mind they're in, because you don't know what they endured overseas or while in the military, which is the result of PTSD later on, which I suffer from vastly and a lot sometimes, but I deal with it. Thank God for my genes. I got very strong genes, and also took psychology in college and know how to deal with such. You got some of the biggest rated psychiatrists and psychologists who suffer vastly from PTSD also, and who go seek psychotherapy. Getting back to the situation at hand, today, two friends of mine had asked me, says, Kev, why are you so uppity when it comes to different things that the government has done to you? And I said to him, I says, after spending thousands of dollars on cases filed supported by case law and evidence, and to have a witness protection inmate who the U.S. Marshals got a job in the court system, sidetrack the case because it might uncover something else, or it might uncover a group of top echelon rats working in that area. As you know, and as you've seen before in my posts and have seen some of my videos, where I elaborated and opened up to people out there about the situations that have encountered in my life, even though I went to Federal Bureau of Prisons right from the United States Navy. I never was in the United States Army, as was argued, and my indictment states later on in 2012 in Razzoli versus U.S. U.S. versus Razzoli, 12 CR 550, tried before Judge Denise Coate in the Southern District of New York, where I was appointed a CJA counsel by the name of Mitchell Dinnerstein, who is so corrupt, it's not funny. You're supposed to be a defense counsel, and you're trying to pull information out of me about some of my friends and some of my past in hopes of me spilling the beans or opening up, and now you have something even further to go on top of. So now, as you know, illegal intrusion goes on vastly in the United States Federal Bureau of Prisons. As you know, in 2008, I was illegally subjected to a surgical procedure that wasn't authorized by me while I was under anesthesia for a colonoscopy and an arthroscope at Muncie Regional Medical Center, where a roving bug was implanted. Might sound crazy, but look up the cases, U.S. versus Vastola et al., and you'll find out U.S. versus D'Ambrosio in the Southern District, and you'll see exactly what happens. Today, there's an article in Google News about the United States Marshal Service being hacked into. As you know, I have a FOIA complaint filed in Washington and several other litigations that were covered up in the Southern District of New York, which is pending. Two of them are pending U.S. Supreme Court review, which I have yet to receive the docket, and others are just pending appeal right now. I can sympathize with people being hacked into because I was hacked into several times. My workspace was broken into. U.S. Constitution protects all lives matter, which is a legal intrusion, aka peekaboo search, which the U.S. Department of Justice have done numerous times to people. That's what happened to Watergate and COINTELPRO. But COINTELPRO has evolved into the FBI SIA program in the feds, and in the state it's called the KSAC program. KSAC rats are people that truly enter a program to debrief about their past involved with drug dealing and stuff, and they debrief to such a way where they elaborate fully. Then they give them whatever trinkets they are, sentence deductions and stuff like that, early release, work release program, prolonged work release program, so on and so forth. But then they're asked to work for the state law enforcement or the feds or the Joint Task Force. And reading this article, I read it with a broad spectrum, an open mind, and I said to myself, they emphasized that the WITSEC program computer systems was not breached, but other systems were. Well, I could tell you one thing. It's either a very serious interagency fight where the FBI or some other DOJ agency wants to look at their records, or it's a smokescreen to cover up for their involvement with other issues at hand. I had problems with the marshals in the past, and they continually obstruct my legal filings. There was times where I was hindered from going into a federal court building, which I don't know why, and then I was followed around by the U.S. Marshals, so on and so forth, which gives you the feeling that they're saying, hey, we know you took us to task, we know you did this, we know you did that, and we're going to fuck with you. Well, this is why I come to the conclusion that maybe that this is the situation at hand, because so many cases involving Republican Party members have been altered, evidence has been destroyed, and acts of falsification of documents have been in play there also. But again, you got to look at things in a broad mind, because if you had problems with one, you have problems with the other. And the IRS has targeted Republicans in the past, as you know, and it was in the news. So there is a justification for being that type of conclusion or opinion, which is covered under the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. Freedom of speech and freedom of choice. But they took that choice when they chose to illegally enter my home, which I posted pictures on. You know, when you go in and take legal files, smash a person's laptop, iPad, but his computer system was hacked into, that tells you something. Why did you take the TV? Why didn't you take other items? Why didn't you take there was some jewelry, which I don't have that much. Why don't you take the watches? That tells you something. They specifically came to send a message when they broke them laptop and the iPad, and they took my briefcase with the files in it, which is most recently. In the past, several times, and there is police reports to back that up, except for this time here, because you want to know why? They don't do nothing. They don't even send the crime scene unit to take fingerprints. But there is cameras at McKee High School and in and around the street. So again, we have that to fall back on. That was like early on when I was on trial in 2012, when I was first turning myself in. There was a person laying back behind a area with a shotgun and a rifle. So we are very on point with the situation at hand. So again, where was that videotape? And that's Mulberry and Ward Street, which is all videoed. You got New York State courts, you got federal courts, you have federal buildings, you got the U.S. Attorney's Office, you got MCC. I mean, let's face it, you're more safer there than you are in the police station. Columbus Park at nighttime, you're more safer there than you are in your home. So again, this is the situation at hand. Secondly, protecting the U.S. veterans is a vested right, I believe. Should be a law that a veteran gets priority over anyone, especially after in the wake of what Black Lives Matter and Antifa did to this country. Taking control over a part of Seattle and taking control over a part of Portland, Oregon, and attacking the federal building. If a group of Italians did that, the RICO Act would have been employed immediately. National Guard would have been dispatched immediately. But they weren't. They were selectively and collectively, given the benefit of doubt, whatever you want to call it, and given every privilege that a citizen who didn't do nothing has. You set fires, you close street down, you firebomb federal buildings. That's an act of domestic terrorism, according to the Department of Homeland Security, who deemed them individual groups of domestic terrorists. But you have a former president, Barack Hussein Obama, openly admitted on TV that he is their advisor, which that's his right under the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. But once an individual group is deemed as a domestic terrorist, that goes to show you the past situation. In 2008, Barack Obama was the leader of this country. He was the one who controls over all U.S. Department of Justice agencies, regardless of the U.S. Attorney General. That year, my civil rights was violated. That year, I was given maybe a death sentence. Because I can't have children due to such surgical procedure. And now it's come to light, this is what is happening. But again, where is justice? We need to have justice. I'm a United States Navy veteran. They tried and convicted me without DNA for allegedly spitting on a U.S. Marshal and records stating I was a U.S. Army member. That is so false and against FOIA Title V U.S.C. 552A, which was just recently dismissed in Washington, D.C. before Judge Nichols in Razzoli versus Executive Office U.S. Attorney et al. The wholehearted complaint listing a group of state and federal agencies maintaining such records that are willfully and knowingly false and employing them to deny me to earn future wages and adverse decisions, which is against the core meaning of FOIA, and which Razzoli versus the BOP 230 Fed 3rd 371, DC Circuit 2001, the same circuit as Judge Nichols is in, for false and or misleading information and the withholding of information to be challenged under FOIA, which is 552A G1C G4 E5. Almost simultaneously, another case, which was the foundation of such complaint, was reversed and remanded and ordered released from prison based upon the false drug seizures, lab reports, BOP reports, U.S. Parole Commission reports, and FBI reports. 225 Fed 3rd, 650, 3rd Circuit, 2001. So again, this is where we're at. I don't have no animosity towards any government agency, but when you break the law and you're the ones that are supposed to be upholding the law, and you have somebody challenge you, which is their vested constitutional right under the First Amendment and 7th Amendment and 14th Amendment, that is the law. But when you have individuals that are under the employ of U.S. Department of Justice agencies, even the Social Security Office has numerous WITSEC rats that work for it. So I've had problems with the Social Security before in the past, and I know for a fact, and it's my opinion, that some U.S. attorney or U.S. marshal was talked to, and he went to the person in charge of a certain area that handles people with disabilities and their disbursement of funds, which my funds were stopped at one time. So again, where is justice? Where is the equality and equal application of law and equal protection of the law, which is the 14th Amendment? You tell me. So again, where is Title 18 USC 2510 through 2518? A requirement for a Title III warrant to be issued to enter your computers and to also enter your home to search. And that search warrant has to be presented to you. There has to be a affidavit of probable cause presented to a federal judge before such warrant is issued. So again, where is justice? Where is justice in the Southern District of New York, where several cases of mine that was filed was substantiated by firsthand knowledge and evidence of 2 proceedings in the Bronx that was procured by false testimony and false evidence. For one, a quotation of an arrest warrant issued in 2010. That warrant was issued for a black race male. I far look like a black race male. 2, it is your obligation to investigate prior to issuance of such warrant. So they can't say that that was an oversight. When you signed that warrant, you violated the law because you didn't investigate who Kevin Razzoli was. And that warrant wouldn't have been issued. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful day. And remember, United States Constitution protects all lives matters for you. Remember, Donald Trump was also subjected to COINTELPRO on January 6th. Why was the BOP employees on the ground in the Capitol, which clearly shows COINTELPRO, FBI SIA program, KSAC RAP program in play. Thank you very much.